Hi, it's Mary, a traditional Chinese medicine tutor and an acupuncturist in Canada.
Question: when a pulse condition contradicts the symptoms, which one, the pulse or the symptoms, stands for the truth?
When conditions become complicated, become serious, the pulse will contradict the symptoms. True symptoms and the false pulse or vice versa may occur. Therefore, we need to make a decision which one, the pulse or the symptoms, stands for the truth. So it is imperative to tell the truth from the false and decide what measures to be taken. In this scenario, you only have two choices. One is follow the pulse, disregarding the symptoms. Another is follow the symptoms, disregarding the pulse. Follow the pulse, disregarding the symptoms. This approach makes a diagnosis based on pulse condition rather than symptoms and signs. It is used when symptoms are false, but the pulse conditions are true. For example, there's true heat, false cold situation. The symptoms might show the signs of false cold, such as cold limbs, but the pulse is slippery and rapid. Cold limbs are the false manifestation. The heat is inhibited inside, therefore you see the pulse is slippery and rapid. In this case, the diagnosis should be based on pulse condition rather than the symptoms. When things become too true and false, it is the complicated stage and severe stage. For the acute stage, for the mild stage, early stage or mild stage, you don't have this kind of choices. In those situations, the signs and the symptoms and the pulses, usually they are in line. True and false scenario happens in a complicated and severe stage. Another one is to follow the symptoms disregarding the pulse. This approach makes a diagnosis based on symptoms and signs rather than on pulse condition. It is used when pulse conditions are false, but symptoms are true. For example, in a Yang Fu organ excess syndrome, there's a heat accumulation in the stomach and the intestines. There's extreme heat accumulated inside. The heat consumes body fluid, leading to the constipation. The pulse shows as a slow and steady pulse. Heat syndrome is supposed to have excess or slippery, rapid pulse. Instead, for this Yang Fu organ excess syndrome, there's a slow, steady pulse. In this situation, symptoms are true. The pulse gives false information. Because a slow and steady pulse is produced by interior heat, which impedes the smooth flow of qi and blood. In this case, the diagnosis should be made based on symptoms observed rather than the pulse conditions. Here again, there's some specific cases, either in a very complicated situation or in an extreme situation. You can see the true and false symptoms and the pulses. Therefore, we need to combine information from the four examination methods. You cannot draw your conclusion just based on one observation. It's not enough. The pulse condition is only one of the clinical manifestations. It can't be considered the exclusive diagnostic evidence. Only by analyzing the data gathered from four examinations can a comprehensive and correct diagnosis be made. That's all about the pulse diagnosis. Very complicated indeed, but not as complicated as we thought. There are rules we can follow. So follow those guidelines. Even without the pulse diagnosis, we can still use other methods to make our syndrome differentiations, because pulse taking is one of the methods. Even if we keep on practicing, it might take years to be really good in pulse taking. It will not prevent you from becoming a good TCM practitioner. If you find this video helpful, please give me a like, subscribe to it, and share it with others. See you in my next video. All the best!